All right, let me share my screen. I have your chart pulled up. Okay, so these are your charts here. So this first chart is lifestyle. The biggest thing is the numbers that are kind of below 60%, which right now physical activity is below 60%. So I would definitely encourage more physical activity, moving your body, but finding something that you enjoy that's not harsh because when we're healing and repairing our nervous system, we don't want something that's really harsh and intense. So maybe yoga, maybe dance, something that you will enjoy that's also gentle on your body. All right, so this is your energy field. So at a quick glance, it looks pretty good. So essentially what we want is this light blue to be pretty smooth, which it is for the most part. So anytime there's discoloration within the light blue, this indicates some dense energy. And anytime there's dips, that means that there's something that is pulling at your energy. So you're kind of like leaking energy in this area. And then anytime there's a spike like this, that's excess energy, which around the head in this area here is pretty common. It's actually a result of an enlarged throat chakra, which is a result of something heavy weighing on our hearts. But for the most part, everything looks pretty good. I mean, obviously, no one's energy field is perfect, but I've seen a lot worse. I'll just say that. So, overall, I think it's pretty good. So, this dip here, something in your back, it's probably the back of the heart chakra. So, if there's something heavy weighing on your heart that's causing excess energy here, it's probably something that's actually like pulling at your energy field. So, let's look at your chakras. Okay, so I go back and forth between the three, and I have it sectioned off so just to protect the other people's names, just for privacy purposes. But these are your three charts here. All right, so what we're going to do is go chakra by chakra, starting at the root chakra. So what I like to do is see how it's rotating. So everything on this side of the screen is masculine energy because the person is sitting reversed. So this is masculine energy and this is feminine energy. So right now, most of your chakras are operating in the masculine. As a woman, I would say connecting to your divine feminine. That's just at a first glance, but we're going to take it chakra by chakra. So starting at the root chakra. So root chakra controls safety, stability, and security. It actually has a good balance between the masculine and feminine because you see it goes over here and it goes over here. So what we want is our chakras to be operating within the green. So anything outside of the green means that that chakra is out of balance. So right now, all of your chakras are in balance. The heart chakra is starting to go out, but it's still within that green. Let me make sure. Oh, well, not in all of the charts. So let me not get ahead. Let me focus on the root chakra first. So the root chakra actually looks pretty good. It has a decent balance between the masculine and feminine. So root chakra controls home, safety, stability, security, finances. It is pulling a tiny bit more to the masculine. So when it pulls more to the masculine, the way to bring it more into the feminine is allowing support, asking for support, speaking up when you need support. So that's one thing that I think in today's society, a lot of times we feel like we have to handle everything on our own, do everything on our own, but asking for support, noticing when support is available to us, and then also allowing that support in. All right, so let's look at sacral chakra. Okay, so sacral chakra is here. So you see how most of your chakras are like pulling more to the masculine. So we want to get you connected to your femininity, your divine femininity. And I know some of the things that you shared with me, getting off of hormones and trying to have a baby, like those are definitely feminine qualities. So I would say that this is a time that's really important to connect to your feminine energy. So looking at how the sacral chakra is rotating, it doesn't go over into the feminine much. So sacral chakra controls passion, pleasure, creativity, sensuality, sexuality. So this not going over into the feminine much. Usually what I ask people is, well, women specifically, is when's the last time you felt sexy? What do you do to get that zest for life going, like where you just feel excited about life? It's zest for life, it's femininity, it's like flow, allowing creativity, like, but for you. So sometimes, like, okay, we'll take creativity for example. An artist, sometimes artists create for others, what they think others will like, and sometimes artists create for themselves. And so when you think about when's the last time you felt really sexy, but not sexy for your partner, sexy for yourself, and just like really feeling that internally and not doing it for someone externally, but really for yourself. So there's a woman that I love who she's very empowering for women, and she talks about the feeling of turn on. So that feeling of turn on, and not just sexually, but just in life, just be excited about life when life feels full and juicy and things like that. So how can you be in that state of turn on for yourself and not for anyone else, but like really feel it internally? Because when you feel it internally, you embody it externally. So I know that's an area a lot of women have to like really work on, but in order to get some more balance, because the thing about the sacral chakra is it is our zest for life. And one of the things that I find is when people lose their zest for life, or they're living too much for everyone else and not themselves, their health starts to decline. So I would invite you to reflect upon what turns you on, what excites you, what gets you going, and not just sexually. I mean, obviously you can answer those questions sexually, but also just in life. There's things that like get us excited and motivated and pumped and ready to jump out of the bed in the morning. Like, what are those things for you? And how can you incorporate that into your routine? All right, let's look at solar plexus. So solar plexus is here. All right. So solar plexus has a decent balance between the masculine and feminine energy. And whether we're male or female, we have both masculine and feminine energy. Life is an ebb and flow, right? It's okay for females to lean more to the feminine side, and it's okay for men to lean more to the masculine side, but we should have both qualities. So feminine energy is flow, allowing, nurturing, creativity. Masculine energy is taking action, making decisions, going after goals. And we need both of those. So it's not about, if a person identifies as a male or female, it's more about energy, if that makes sense. So your solar plexus actually looks pretty good. It is on its way out of balance. So just like I feel like if you focus on the other things, it's going to balance itself out. So solar plexus is confidence, self-worth, personal power, boundaries. So right now I don't have much feedback about that one, but let's talk about the heart chakra. So heart chakra is definitely out of balance, and it's out of balance on the masculine side, which usually is an indication of, it could be a number of things. So this can be connected to masculine energy in your life. So, dad, partner, ex partner, things like that. So, it could be something creating a block due to masculine energy in your life. It can also be a grudge, something that you're holding like that's heavy on your heart, but it's external. So if it was out of balance on the feminine side, it would be internal, like guilt, shame, that type of thing. But this is out of balance on the masculine side, the external side. So this could be a grudge or resentment towards someone externally. So really reflecting upon what's weighing on your heart, who you're upset at or mad at or have resentment towards or disappointment, and processing those emotions. And I like to say, if you journal, do it from a perspective of your inner child or inner teenager, because our adult self will rationalize and be like, okay, I understand why this person did this thing, but our inner child is like, this is not fair. And those are the feelings that you want to actually name, because it'll help release that energy that is stuck in your heart chakra, which then creates that enlarged throat chakra and the spikiness. So the throat chakra, if you see how much the rest of the chakras are moving, and how the throat chakra doesn't move much. So throat chakra obviously controls communication, but there's not a lot of movement in it compared to the other chakras. And that's because whatever's stuck here, you may not be necessarily speaking up about. And the thing about it is, we don't always have to speak up to the person, right? So if you write a letter, you don't have to give it to the person. You're writing it for the purpose of moving that energy, releasing it from your physical body so it doesn't turn into pain, inflammation, or any type of ailment. So when it comes to the heart and like stuck energy here, I've seen everything from indigestion, heartburn, tightness of the chest, so like panic attacks, high anxiety, and then on the more severe cases, heart attacks, strokes, things like that. Also thyroid issues. So it's really important that we move that energy. So if you ever write a letter, or if you ever, like, I'm a verbal processor. So I like to open up my voice memo on my phone and just speak into it and then just delete it. You know, like, you don't have to send it to the person. So communicating and speaking your needs and desires and feelings and emotions doesn't always have to be directly to the person. All right, so what happens is, when there's not a lot of movement in the throat chakra, there's also not a lot of movement in the third eye. Your third eye is directly lined up with your throat chakra. So third eye is perspective, it's our clarity, it's our inner trust, it's our inner knowing. And so what happens is, when energy is kind of stuck here, it prevents us from having a wider perspective. And I give the example of, if you're in a panic or you're in a rush and you're trying to get somewhere, but you can't find your keys, and they could literally be right in front of your face, but because you're in that panic, you're in a rush, you don't see them. And so that's what happens if we don't have enough energy flowing to our third eye, because energy is just stuck right here. So we want to make sure that energy is flowing. And then last but definitely not least is the crown chakra, which pulls more to the masculine. So you see here, so it's pulling more to the masculine. It does come over into the feminine, but not as much as it's pulling into the masculine. So what this tells me is there's room for inner trust. So the crown chakra controls our connection to the divine. It's divine guidance, divine timing. But really the way that the divine communicates to us is through our intuition, our higher self. And so when it's pulling more to the masculine, it's almost like you're searching externally for answers. You're searching externally for purpose rather than going within. So going within to find those answers, really sitting with yourself, listening, journaling. And journaling with healing frequencies is so good. Or even journaling like right after a sound bath, because you're connected to that higher self and you find those answers within. So rather than constantly looking externally for the answers, switch it to go within for the answers and really get to know yourself on a deeper level. So self-discovery, like checking in, how do I feel mentally, physically, emotionally? What's bothering me? What's weighing on my heart today? Because the more that you start to ask yourself those questions on a daily basis, the more your nervous system and your inner child feels safe answering. Because what we do is we ignore how we feel because we got to keep going in life, right? We live in a hustle culture, but also usually we were raised with parents that didn't instill emotional regulation in us. So when we cried, for most people, the generation that raised us was like, you're okay, be a big girl, be a big boy, big girls don't cry, rather than saying, oh, sweetie, what's wrong? So when we have something that bothers us, we're like, it's fine. It is what it is. I'm okay, right? We don't actually sit with ourselves and say, what's bothering me today? How do I feel? And so retraining yourself, my dog, she's sitting in my chair. You want to say hi? You say hi? My assistant. So we usually don't check in. And so we have to retrain ourselves and we have to reparent ourselves to do that check-in. And that's going to help you connect more to yourself and not feel like you're crazy for having emotions, you're crazy for having feelings, or you're having a bad day. Because I used to, she's doing weird stuff. Come here. Hold on one second. Okay. Stay. So I used to criticize myself every time I would have intense feelings and be like, oh, I'm just tripping, because society teaches us to do that. And so retraining yourself to check in and truly honor how you feel and not look for that external validation. All right, so let's move on to stress level. Just peeking at this. So stress level actually looks pretty good. It's not that bad. Maybe like a little bit of anxiety here, but overall it's not too bad. Okay, so this is important. So everything should be within the green. When it's outside of the green, these spikes here, these are areas that you want to focus on. So over the next few months, when we're doing these scans and you're doing the sessions, so usually mammary glands, I have found that this is associated with a mother wound. So working on like some inner child healing and any mother wound, and then the thyroid, usually because of heaviness on the heart, it creates blocked energy here. So focusing on what's weighing on your heart, but like helping move that energy up to dissolve anything that's kind of stuck here. And then the liver, we hold anger, repressed rage, and frustration. So one thing that I do to navigate the heavy emotions is I go to the gym, and you know the ropes that you kind of do like that, I just like do that and then just like bang them on the floor and just like let all of that rage and anger out. because when we hold that in, it turns into issues. And so you don't want your liver to shut down because we need it. We need our liver, right? And you want it functioning properly. So you got to move those heavy emotions through. And as women, we're taught to be ladylike. So us expressing rage or anger is not necessarily acceptable, but we have to get it out of our body. So what I find when I do that, I let the anger kind of like bubble up, and then I kind of feel sadness. So my therapist used to say anger feels better than sadness. So it's like we're going through this layer. Think about like a 7-layer cake. We have all these layers of society telling us emotions are not okay. And so we got to get through all of those layers of like, if you express yourself, people will consider you, a bitch. And like, you got to get through like all the societal programming of it's not okay to feel this way. And then once you allow yourself to feel it, and the thing about doing the ropes at the gym is no one looks at you weird, because that's the purpose of them, is to slam them on the floor. So a very easy way to just get that anger out. So I go to the gym and I just like slam them on the floor, and I just like let that anger bubble up. And then what I find, I feel relief, but then I also feel sadness, because I think underneath the anger is sadness. And then when we can sit with that sadness and honor it, we've released anger, we've released and honored our sadness, and then we start to feel whole, if that makes sense. And so that's one thing that I would invite you to do over the next few months, is find a healthy way to allow that anger and rage to like bubble up so you can release it, but also pay attention to any sadness that may be underneath it. So the gym, punching your pillow, kickboxing, boxing classes, there's like axe throwing and like rage rooms now where you can like go and like smash stuff. So anything like that, but I mean, something that you can do on a regular basis. So I would say start like once a week if you go to the gym, or do like a kickboxing class. But even if you don't want to do it like out in front of people, if there's any like apprehension around someone seeing you, punching your pillow. Sometimes I will set a alarm for like 2 minutes. And I think someone said this. Who was it? Was it Louise Hay? I don't know who it was. It may have been Louise Hay, but she says set an alarm like 2 minutes and just like keep punching your pillow. And at first you may feel like a little tired because it's your nervous system resisting going to that place. But eventually when you get past those layers, you remember the 7-layer cake, eventually you're going to get to that anger and it's going to start to bubble up. And then when you're done, there'll be relief, but also there's probably some sadness. So really just allowing that to come up, and then sitting, maybe having some tea, journaling, and just like really checking in, like, okay, what do I feel? What came up? What was I holding on to in there? And that practice should help move some of the energy. Now, obviously, when you come into the studio, having the bowl on the body, it's going to help as well. But the thing about the sound baths is it's stillness and it's acceptance, and it's very gentle, but we also need the anger to like really come up in something like hitting the ropes and like really allowing yourself to go to that place. So I think that incorporating some practice like that is going to help with that specific thing. So blind gut, same thing. I mean, usually when the liver is spiked, so is the blind gut, because, our digestive system is all in that same area. The bowl on the body will definitely help with this as well. All right, so this chart is pretty much the same. Oh, let me move this thing so I can get to the next chart. All right. Let's see. So anything highlighted means there's more than a 10% imbalance between the left and the right side, but the more you do sound baths, the more everything is going to start to balance out. So nothing, I think, to really be alarmed about. What is 12? Sacrum, so back, and coccyx, that's the back as well. Let's see, I had these checked from the previous person. Okay, so there are some areas that we want to focus on here. Anything that is, oops, oh, what is that? Adrenals. Anything that's highlighted, we want everything operating in the green. So anything highlighted, we want to focus on. So urogenital, definitely, that's like sacral chakra area. And if you want to have children, definitely an area we want to focus on. So playing that bowl on that area is going to be really good. And this is lower back. So focusing on the move session where the bowl is on your back, that's going to be really good. Again, this is all the heart chakra stuff. So making sure that we're moving that energy that's kind of stuck here. Yeah, so really just processing the emotions that you're holding in your organs. That's really important. And yeah, just doing the work, honoring what you're holding onto in your body, moving through it. The hard thing about aging parents is it's kind of one of those things where it's unavoidable, right? Like, you know that this is a challenge and it's going to be a challenge. It's not going to get any better. So regulating your nervous system for it, and I think there's like anticipatory grief as well. So kind of just like regulating your nervous system to navigate that. And sometimes when our parents are aging, we want to improve our relationship, but if there's dementia or like things like that where you know there's no opportunity for that, that's another layer of grief. And grief is so tricky. There's, again, 7-layer cake. There's so many layers of it. So really getting in the habit of journaling what you feel, but everything that you feel. So the good, the bad, the ugly, everything in between. Because once you can really acknowledge things to yourself, you don't hold on to it in your body or in your subconscious, which will help with emotional regulation. So this last chart here is your biorhythm. So this is how the moon cycle impacts your cycles. Like, we are cyclical beings, and no one feels amazing all the time, right? So this is how the moon cycle impacts you. So I entered in your birthday, and the bottom here is the days of the month. Today is the 6th. So this is where we are here. So this shows your physical cycle, your emotional cycle, and your intellectual cycle. So this 0 here is your baseline. This is your normal energy without anything impacting it. So sometimes your cycle is up. So for the physical cycle, when it's up, this is a really good time to move your body, a really good time to work out. When your physical cycle is low, this is a time to bump up your self-care and really listen to your body. So if you go to the gym and you feel like, I'm kind of tired, I don't want to do another rep, listen to your body, because if you push yourself, you're more prone to injury or illness. But when it's up, this is a good time to push yourself, go a little harder, and that'll feel good. So when your intellectual cycle is down, which right now today it is, this is a time where you may not process information or remember things as easily. I always give the example of going to the grocery store and getting there and being like, dang, what did I come here for? So when you have the intellectual cycle down, just make a list. Don't try to remember things. Be more gentle with yourself if you're not remembering or processing as quickly. But when it's up, this is a really good time where you're going to be sharper. You're going to process information easier. Your memory is going to be better. But again, we're cyclical beings. So this is just something to just know, if you feel off one day and then you look at this and you're like, oh, that makes sense. These cycles are down, right? And then emotional cycle, when your emotional cycle is up, you're going to be more compassionate, more understanding. This is a good time to have important conversations. You'll be more loving. When it's down, you may not be as compassionate. You may not be as understanding. We can't always avoid uncomfortable conversations, but it's more of a reminder. Remind yourself to be understanding, remind yourself to be more compassionate. So it's kind of just a way to just understand, like, okay, I'm feeling great in this area, so let's let's be great in this area, and I'm not feeling that great in this area, so let me be mindful and remind myself to write a list, remind myself to be more compassionate, remind myself to listen to my body. So yeah, that is May. It does change every month, so we'll see what June is looking like in the next reading. But let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email. But definitely getting some physical activity going. I definitely recommend that, like, if you could go to the gym or somewhere where they have those ropes, allowing any rage or anger to bubble up to the surface and then taking a time to reflect on what came up for you, journaling as much as possible, journaling after sound baths when everything is kind of open will be really good. So that is the reading. Let me know if you have any questions.